Hello, this is Mark O'Brien from Scalar, and I'd like to talk to you about PowerQueries. I'm going to start off by giving you some context around the PowerQuery feature, how it compares with search, and how you can use them together. And then I'm going to dive in and talk about the group command, which allows you to aggregate your log lines and calculate some statistics on them. To get started here, we're starting on the traditional search page within Scalar. If you've used the tool, you're familiar with it. It's really focused around allowing you to narrow down to a specific set of log lines and then inspect them in more detail. So I can do things like type a query into the search bar here, or I can use this menu to narrow down by the server host or the cluster name, or I can use this drop down to narrow down by the file name or the deployment name. I'm going to go ahead and narrow down to just my Nginx access logs. And when I do that, you'll see I'm just seeing those log lines here in the display. These log lines have a lot of attributes that we've parsed out from them during ingestion. And these attributes are represented here along the side as facets. So I can do things like click on the status facet and look in more detail and see that in this data set, there are 4 distinct status values, and also get an idea of about how many there are of each. I could, for example, narrow down to just 404 errors and just see those log lines. I can also look at URI paths here, and I can see the most popular URI paths here at the top. But really, this page is designed around allowing you to narrow down to specific log lines and inspect them in more detail. What PowerQueries does is it takes it a step further by allowing you to aggregate and calculate statistics on your logs and extract more information from your log data. What I'm going to do now is move from the search page into PowerQueries. And when I come across here, you'll see there's a box that allows me to enter my Power Query. When I move from search into Power Queries, it preserves the filter that I had in place on the search page. When you're building a Power Query, you always start with a filter, and then you can pipe together a series of commands where the output of each one gets piped to the next one. So by moving from the search page to Power Queries, it's a really nice workflow. You can use the search page to narrow down to a specific set of log lines that you want to work with, and then you can move over into Power Queries and proceed from there to build the rest of your query. Along the bottom of the box here, you'll see a list of commands that are available to use with Power Queries. And if I click on one, I can get more detail about what each command does. There's also this handy insert button which pastes a template in place that allows me to get started in terms of writing in this command. What I want to do now is group by URI path, and I'm also going to do some calculation here to build a total column, which is a count of the number of log lines for each URI path. When I run this, now I get a table where each row is a URI path along with the total number of log lines for each of those. If I want to get fancy here, I can add a couple more columns. I could do a column for client errors, which is a count of all of the log lines where the status is in the 400s. And a server errors column, which is a count of the number of log lines where the status is in the 500s. So when I run this, I get 2 new columns. So now I'm looking at the total number of requests and then the number of errors coming back for each. So I can scroll through here and I can see some of my pages are doing better than others here. I got some pages with a lot of errors. But let's say I just care mostly about the pages with the most number of requests. So I'm going to go ahead and sort by total in reverse order. And you can see I've got my highest trafficked URI paths here at the top. And then let's say I only really care about the first 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put a limit statement here. And that gives me just this top 5 display. So now that I have this, there are a number of things that I can do with it. I can go ahead and save the search for my own reference, and this will show up here in the Save Searches menu. I could also add this to my shared search list, which will make it available to other users of this account, other people on my team, and that will appear down here on the Shared Searches section. Or I can save it to a dashboard, and that's really handy because you can build a dashboard with a variety of graphs and reports, and you can add this to it so that every time you load the dashboard, it will have the latest information and it will show you the latest up-to-date information about your URI paths. I can also download this to a CSV file if I want to work with it in another system like Excel. And lastly, I can also copy this link and share it with other folks that are in the Scalar account. So I hope this has been a useful introduction to Power Queries and gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do with the group command. Thanks.